One club stands out from the notorious one-percenters amidst the roar of motorcycle engines and rebellious environment: the Mongols Motorcycle Club. But what exactly makes them the baddest of the bunch? The Mongols MC was founded in 1969 as a one-percenter group in California. Today, they have chapters in more than 14 US states and branches all over the world. Is it the Mongols' global influence or their considerable size that really makes them notorious? Join us as we enter the wild world of the Mongols MC and explore what makes them one of the most deadly criminal biker clubs in the world. But before we begin, a word of caution. Crossing paths with the Mongols is like playing with fire, so think twice before you even consider messing with the Mongols. Do the Mongols MC pose a serious threat to other motorcycle clubs and even the Mexican Mafia? The Mongols MC stand out not only because of their size and global influence, but also because of their steadfast refusal to bow down to authority. Being a one-percenter, they do not obey the guidelines or directives of the American Motorcycle Association. They pave their own way and live by their own code of conduct, which often places them in direct conflict with law enforcement. The idea of one-percenters started out as a brotherly friendship driven by a shared love of motorcyclists and the freedom of the open road. But despite their patriotic Harley Davidson rides, this community took a dark turn when one-percenters began to believe they were above the law. What happens when the love for the road clashes with the boundaries of the law? The Mongols were in the legal limelight when the authorities chased them. Attorneys for the Mongols asserted that the motorcycle club strictly prohibits criminals from joining, as law enforcement strengthened their hunt for them. Even though the Mongols' lawyers argue that the new screening procedure ensures that violent offenders are not admitted into the community, what about those who are already members? They are unable to dismiss those members without enough evidence. Their criminal involvement in activities violated the law, and they occasionally broke it outright. Law enforcement dedicatedly went after the Mongols MC, and they managed to infiltrate it twice. Agent William Queen not only gained entry into the Mongols MC, but also became a fully patched member and chapter vice president in 1998. The sting led to the arrest of 54 members, of whom 53 were found guilty. 10 more years later, there was another invasion that resulted in the arrest of 38 members. It was like stirring up a hornet's nest all over again. There has been no end to the conflict between law enforcement and the Mongols. There have been almost 270 warrants issued against the Mongols at one point in history, but things have somewhat calmed down with the election of a new president. However, the majority of law-abiding citizens tend to flee after seeing the Mongols MC members. According to the Department of Justice, the Mongols MC is the worst of the one-percenters. It is a dangerous group that poses a threat to any state where it has strong chapters. How do the Mongols view their most notorious reputation? They wear their baddest of bad image as a badge of pride because they simply love being bad. One of their slogans that reflects their mindset is, "When we do right, nobody remembers. When we do wrong, nobody forgets." Justification enough to avoid any association with the Mongols MC for now and forever. The Mongols often break the law in order to earn money. They have been able to increase their bank balance over the years. Even if it did not follow the rules set down by the American Motorcycle Association at first, things changed rather rapidly. Ever since David Santillon was elected club president in 2015, things have taken a better turn, and reports indicate that unlawful activities have stopped. But can they truly overcome their past, or will old habits die hard? The Mongols were not only involved in illegal drug trafficking, but also had a hand in a motorcycle theft circle, and they were damn good at what they did. The Mongols MC can be compared to the Hispanic version of the Hells Angels. Why did the Mongols choose to form their own MC instead of joining forces with the Hells Angels? The Hells Angels are a white-only group. The Mongols MC is one of the many MCs that sprang from the non-entry of non-white people into the Hells Angels. When the Hells Angels said no to the Mongols, they formed their own club called the Mongols Motorcycle Club, which became their biggest rival from day one. Only the pressure from law enforcement or an intervention with the Mexican Mafia were able to put the legendary conflict between these groups on hold. Even so, There is still no love lost between the two clubs, and members avoid one another's paths in their respective domains to avoid starting a new conflict. Do you think being non-American keeps you out of the Mongols' radar? Here's the real shocker. The Mongols cast their net far and wide, making their mark as an international outlaw motorcycle club. No one's immune to the long arm of the Mongols. Although the US chapter continues to hold the distinction of baddest of the bad, other nations have their own versions of the club. None of them are cute and cuddly. They are more like wolves in sheep's clothing, ready to pounce at any moment. These nations include Australia, Denmark, Germany, and many more. These venues host international gatherings, and ordinary people tend to vacate these locations somewhat rapidly. The Mongols take security very seriously. When Ruben Cavazos was the Mongols' national president, he or his security head would dress up in different clothes and sneak around like spies. They did this before any major gatherings to check out the area and make sure there were no enemies around, whether they were from rival gangs or law enforcement. These secret missions were well planned, almost like something out of a military operation. The Mongols got into a fight with the Mexican Mafia. Few people confront the Mexican Mafia and come out with only minor injuries. The Mongols are among the few. Even though they experienced setbacks, so did the Mexican Mafia. Some Mongol members and La Eme, a Mafia-aligned Mexican gang, appear to have been involved in a territorial conflict in 2004. The Mongols refused to meet the Mafia's demands for money. The conflict escalated, causing a few deaths on each side. Later, it was settled behind closed doors, and the price of this peace is still unknown. The Mongols MC has been involved in various illegal activities. From stealing countless motorcycles to human trafficking and high-value drug deals, they have generated millions of dollars in revenue for the club. With these criminal operations, they have hit the jackpot over time. The club's conduct has changed in the last few years. It's been reported that the club has engaged in fewer illegal activities since David Santillan became president. Due to the group's long history of violence, prosecutors accused them of operating a full-fledged criminal organization. They were involved in murder, attempted murder, and drug distribution. They made the decision to hold their ground, rather than go for the easy route. The club members decided to fight back instead of choosing to file bankruptcy, as many other people would have done. They were not intimidated by this. After all, they are the Mongols. The US government tried but was unable to remove their patch. Isn't it odd that the government wants to mess with a group of bikers? Ultimately, the United States government engaged in a court battle with the Mongols, trying to strip them of their patch. But did they succeed? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? Initially, the authorities had a little taste of victory, but the Mongols had something up their sleeves, and they won. What exactly did these bikers do to turn the tables? By working together, the prosecutors were able to persuade the judge to give them the right to take away the Mongols' jackets and patches prior to their trial. Hold on a second. Do you think the Mongols' lawyers were about to let that happen without a fight? No way! The Mongols' lawyers got to work and proved that this order had violated not just one, but two amendments of the Constitution, the members' rights under the First and Eighth Amendments. In an instant, the patches were back where they belonged. The Mongols Motorcycle Club showed everyone that you don't mess with them, not even in the courtroom. They have risen from their humble beginnings in Southern California to their current global prominence, which is marked by conflict, controversies, and a constant quest for power. As motorcycle gang members, they told themselves they would only get bigger, better, and stronger. They were not afraid in the face of difficulty. They reminded themselves that they're not just a club, they're a family. Taking into account their historical past, it is clear that the Mongols continue to pose a threat. It is logical to predict that they will keep expanding their influence in the future. But how far are they able to go?
A drunken phone call, a wife scorned, a secret recording that would destroy a president. David Santillan led the Mongols Motorcycle Club through its most brutal federal battle. But in June 2021, his wife captured him on video, making a confession that would shake the entire organization. He mentioned an ATF agent. He talked about protection. He spoke of an exit strategy. Within days, the club branded him a rat. The question wasn't just whether their president had betrayed them. The question was whether his alleged cooperation had rigged the trial that convicted them all. Connection, loop. To understand how one recorded conversation nearly overturned a decade-long federal prosecution, you need to understand the war that brought the Mongols to their knees. This is the story of Operation Black Rain, a federal racketeering conviction, and the president whose downfall threatened to unravel everything. Main narrative. The Mongols Motorcycle Club emerged in 1969 in Montebello, California. Hispanic riders formed the club after the Hells Angels refused them membership. By 2008, the club had expanded internationally with chapters across multiple continents and an estimated membership exceeding 600 riders. The federal government had been watching. The Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms and Explosives launched Operation Black Rain in 2005. 4 male ATF agents infiltrated the Mongols and achieved full-patch membership status. 4 female agents posed as their girlfriends, attending parties and establishing their covers. The agents lived away from their families in residences designed to mirror the Mongols' lifestyle. They underwent background checks conducted by private detectives hired by the club. When one agent finally received his patch, a Mongols member delivered a chilling message. Being a Mongol promises you one of 2 things: death or prison. On October 21st, 2008, the operation culminated in coordinated raids across 6 states. Federal and local authorities executed 110 federal arrest warrants and 160 search warrants. Over 1,500 law enforcement officers participated in sweeps across California, Nevada, Oregon, Colorado, Washington, and Ohio. Dozens of customized Harley Davidson motorcycles were confiscated and lined up outside the Los Angeles Police Department headquarters. Among those arrested was Ruben Doc Cavazos, the club's former national president. Cavazos had published a memoir titled Honor Few, Fear None, just months before his arrest. He was accused of embezzling nearly $200,000 from the club by pocketing money intended for background checks on new members. 38 members were immediately taken into custody. The charges ranged from murder and attempted murder to drug trafficking and assault. The federal indictment painted the Mongols as a criminal enterprise. Prosecutors presented evidence of cocaine and methamphetamine distribution networks. They documented violent confrontations with rival motorcycle clubs, particularly the Hells Angels. One incident stood out in its brutality. On September 3, 2008, Christopher Ablett, a member of the Mongols Modesto chapter, traveled to San Francisco carrying a foot-long military knife and a .357 Magnum revolver. He wore his full Mongols vest into a Mission District bar. Mark Papa Guardado, president of the San Francisco Hells Angels chapter and an advisor for the television show Sons of Anarchy, learned that a Mongols member was on his territory. Guardado confronted Ablett outside the bar. A fight erupted. Guardado was shot twice and stabbed 4 times. He died from his injuries. Ablett fled on a motorcycle and disappeared for over a month. On October 4, 2008, he walked into a police station in Bartlesville, Oklahoma, and politely surrendered himself. He was extradited to California. In February 2012, a federal jury convicted him of murder in aid of racketeering. Ablett received 3 consecutive life sentences. The aftermath of Operation Black Rain was devastating for the club. 77 Mongols members pleaded guilty to violating the Racketeer, Influenced and Corrupt Organizations Act. Cavazos pleaded guilty to racketeering charges and received a 14-year federal prison sentence. But federal prosecutors wanted more than individual convictions. They sought to destroy the club's identity itself. In 2013, the government filed a new case targeting the Mongols as an entity. The goal was unprecedented: seizing the club's trademark logo and preventing members from wearing their patches. David Santillan had joined the Mongols in 1997. By 1998, he earned admission to the Mother Chapter, the club's governing body. After serving a year in federal prison for mail fraud, Santillan returned in 2000. In 2010, he was elected national president. He became the public face of the Mongols during their legal battles, repeatedly stating his efforts to reform the club. The 2018 trial stretched over 5 weeks in a Santa Ana federal courthouse. Prosecutors presented testimony about violent confrontations between the Mongols and Hells Angels across California. They documented the 2002 Laughlin Casino brawl that left 3 people dead. They detailed drug trafficking operations moving methamphetamine and cocaine across state lines. Throughout the trial, both Santillan and ATF Special Agent John Ciccone attended court sessions daily. Ciccone had led the investigation against the Mongols for years. At one point, a juror reported seeing Santillan and Ciccone together at a Starbucks located half a block from the courthouse. Santillan dismissed it as a chance encounter. This observation would later become crucial evidence. On December 13, 2018, the federal jury delivered its verdict. The Mongols Motorcycle Club was convicted of racketeering and conspiracy to commit racketeering. The jury found that the organization constituted a criminal enterprise responsible for 1 murder, 1 attempted murder, a narcotics trafficking conspiracy, and 2 methamphetamine transactions. The conspiracy conviction validated multiple additional violent incidents, including 5 homicides, 9 assaults, and numerous drug transactions. Defense attorney Stephen Stubbs argued that all the crimes occurred under previous leadership. Current President David Santillan called the crimes individual acts rather than organizational policy. When asked if the verdict surprised him, Santillan replied, "No, they had been prepared for the outcome." In January 2019, the jury moved to the forfeiture phase. They determined that the club's trademark logos should be seized by the federal government. This unprecedented ruling would have allowed law enforcement to confiscate patches and vests directly from members. However, U.S. District Judge David O. Carter later nullified the forfeiture verdict. He ruled that seizing the trademarks would violate First Amendment rights to freedom of expression. In May 2019, Carter instead fined the organization and placed it on 5 years of probation. The Mongols retained their trademark rights. Then, everything changed. In June 2021, David Santillan's personal life was collapsing. He had engaged in an extramarital affair. His wife Annie was devastated. The couple separated. David's mistress began harassing Annie and her children. On a June evening in 2021, David called Annie seeking reconciliation. He was intoxicated and emotional. He sobbed into the phone, declaring his love. He promised to get treatment for his addictions. Annie recorded the entire conversation without his knowledge. The conversation shifted to ATF agent John Ciccone. David's words would become the most controversial statements in the entire Mongols legal saga. He told Annie that John had given him a timeline. 1 year, Ciccone was retiring. After 1 year, he couldn't protect David anymore. They needed an exit strategy. Annie was furious. She sent the recording to 2 other Mongols members along with a text message. The message was explosive. She wrote that David had been working with the government the entire time. She called him a confidential informant. She called him a rat. The recording detonated within the organization. On December 10th, 2021, Mongols attorney Joseph Yanni filed a motion for a new trial. The motion argued that Santillan had served as a confidential informant for Ciccone and had sabotaged the club's defense. Yanni claimed this represented a catastrophic invasion of attorney-client privilege. The club held a closed-door meeting. Santillan was not permitted to defend himself. The Mongols stripped him of his title and excommunicated him from the organization. The man who had led them through their most significant legal battle was now branded as the ultimate betrayal. Judge Carter scheduled hearings to examine the allegations. Between June and October 2022, the court held 8 separate sessions. Santillan testified that he joined the club in 1997 and rose through the ranks over 2 decades. He acknowledged speaking with Ciccone on multiple occasions, but characterized these interactions as public conversations at motorcycle events attended by other club members. He explained that after the 2018 trial, he went to an ATF building to collect Mongols property. Ciccone mentioned he was retiring and suggested Santillan consider retiring from the club as well, because Ciccone's replacement might not be as fair. Santillan adamantly denied ever serving as a confidential informant. He denied sharing defense strategy with federal agents. When asked directly by the U.S. Attorney's Office whether he was ever any sort of informant for the ATF, Santillan's answer was unequivocal. Absolutely not. Ciccone provided sworn testimony supporting Santillan's account. The retired agent stated that his conversations with Santillan occurred in public settings in front of other Mongols members. The purpose was to demonstrate ATF presence at their events. Ciccone denied that Santillan ever provided trial strategy or served as a confidential informant. Law enforcement officials from multiple agencies testified during the hearings. Representatives scoured informant databases searching for any record of Santillan as a confidential source. No evidence emerged. Despite months of testimony and extensive investigation, nothing supported the claim that Santillan had cooperated with the government. Annie Santillan returned to court with a dramatically different story. She testified that she and David had reconciled. She admitted she didn't know what her husband was talking about in the recorded phone call. She acknowledged that she sent the recording and called him an informant solely to destroy him in the eyes of the Mongols. She wanted him to feel the shame and betrayal that she had experienced. Her intent was revenge, not revelation of the truth. Federal prosecutors filed motions urging Judge Carter to deny the request for a new trial. They noted that the court had permitted multiple days of testimony spread over several months. No witness or piece of evidence supported the claim that Santillan was a confidential informant who provided trial strategy to the government. On October 6, 2022, Judge Carter issued his ruling from the bench. He acknowledged that the allegation against Santillan had a stench to it. However, he stated there was no evidence supporting the claim. The judge referenced the horrific nature of the crimes at the heart of the 2018 trial. He noted the magnitude of the murders, the narcotics dealing, and the war between the Hells Angels and the Mongols. There were simply too many murders. Carter stated that the notion the Mongols could be acquitted in another trial was something the court had a very difficult time believing. He denied the motion for a new trial. The 2018 racketeering and conspiracy convictions stood. David Santillan's fall from power became a cautionary tale about loyalty and betrayal. Whether he actually betrayed the Mongols or simply maintained a pragmatic relationship with law enforcement remained a matter of perspective. What was certain was that a drunken phone call and a scorned wife had exposed relationships that would have remained hidden otherwise. The case established precedent about how far the government could go in dismantling criminal organizations. While Judge Carter prevented the seizure of the Mongols' trademark on constitutional grounds, the underlying convictions remained intact. The club continues to exist under federal supervision. The patches still ride on California highways, but the organization carries the permanent brand of a racketeering enterprise. Did the Mongols' president cooperate with the ATF? The federal courts concluded he did not, but the suspicion created reasonable doubt within the organization itself. In the world of outlaw motorcycle clubs, where loyalty means everything, David Santillan's presidency ended not with proof of cooperation, but with the appearance of impropriety. And in that world, appearance and reality blur into the same fatal conclusion. Operation Ivan was an ambitious and very well-planned sting attempt by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, ATF, in the late 1990s. Its goal? To penetrate and destroy the Mongols Motorcycle Club, a murderous, notorious, secretive outlaw biker club. The operation started when undercover ATF agent William Queen posed as a prospect and adopted the alias of Billy Saint. John became a prospect of the San Fernando Valley chapter of the Mongols. In the course of almost 28 months, the Queen gained their trust, went to their meetings, and slowly turned out to be their secretary-treasurer. His job was to live as a Mongol, get first-hand access, and write about their inner workings, not merely to observe. Risks were enormous. A single mistake and you were dead. But what Queen discovered was a world where brotherhood, intimidation, and blood loyalty did obey. His tapes, journals, and actions would become the basis of a federal takedown operation that would shake biker culture years into the future. Through the polygraph. In order to gain the trust of the Mongols, Queen needed to pass through one of the most vivid and out-of-the-book lie tests. This polygraph, unlike the police type, was carried out by the investigators of their own gangs, that is, the Mongol members with strong experience and suspicion. Immediately prior to winning the trust of the inner circle, Queen was forced to endure armed, nerve-wracking, and emotionally exhausting interrogation sessions. A member in charge was standing behind him during the test, with a hand at his holstered gun, ready to pull the trigger in case Queen tripped. These polygraphs did not only check loyalty, they were psychological warfare to intimidate and roust out undercover agents. Queen needed to practice his backstory many times and be totally collected under immense pressure. The turning point was passing the test. Since then, he was regarded as one of the Mongols who got access to their criminal activities. Daniel Herrera was murdered. There are several crimes that the Queen got to witness, the most chilling one being the murder of Daniel Herrera. Mongols member Adrian Gutierrez, Panhead, attacked Herrera in November 1999 outside a motel in Southern California. The homicide was done not in the heat of the moment, but it was a bitter and brutal attack with a knife and fists. The reason, as reported later on by Queen and after further investigations, was outrageously petty, as Herrera had apparently made a joke that Gutierrez did not like. To the Mongols, the world is where disrespect is a license to violence. Following the murder, Gutierrez was ushered in as a hero in the club. He was given a skull and crossbones patch, the morbid award that was given to denote a gang killer. The documentation and Book of Queen assisted federal prosecutors in associating the Mongols with the murder and established that the code of crime included much more than drugs and weapons. It also consisted of cold-blooded execution as a sign of pride. Building the case from within, Operation Ivan wasn't just a sting, it was a slow, surgical dismantling. Its strength lay in the long game. William Queen didn't merely observe crimes, he lived inside them. Over 28 months, he sat through countless club meetings, recorded hours of conversations, tracked cash exchanges, and watched violence unfold up close. He was there during drug deals. He saw stolen bikes change hands like poker chips. As treasurer, he kept tabs on the gang's finances with the precision of an accountant and the instincts of a spy. Every dollar mattered. Every word was logged. Every knife carried significance. Quietly, Queen fed everything to his ATF contacts, including John Ciccone, the mind steering the broader game plan. Meanwhile, agents followed the trails. Surveillance teams watched Mongol chapters from afar, while informants whispered from within. Piece by piece, the government sketched out a sprawling criminal enterprise. Queen's role was extraordinary. He wasn't just a witness, he was embedded. His intelligence didn't only spark arrests, it gave prosecutors enough ammo to invoke federal racketeering laws and label the Mongols MC a full-blown crime syndicate. The May 19th, 2000 raids. It all erupted before sunrise. May 19th, 2000, raids ignited across multiple states. Federal agents, backed by county sheriffs, stormed Mongol strongholds in California, Oklahoma, and Georgia. In all, more than 675 law enforcement officers moved in. San Diego, Rosemead, Frazier Park, La Puente. The net was wide. Over 50 Mongol members were taken into custody. The haul? Dozens of illegal firearms, stolen motorcycles, bags of meth and cocaine, wads of cash, everything you'd expect from a textbook criminal network. But this wasn't about statistics. This was about showing force. For years, the Mongols had operated like they were untouchable. Now, that illusion is gone. Queen was still deep inside the gang when it happened. The moment it got too dangerous, agents pulled him out and placed him under federal protection. The gang, blindsided and fractured, was left to pick up the pieces. The scope of the Mongols MC. The Mongols MC wasn't born in the shadows. It started in 1969 with a group of Hispanic Vietnam veterans who'd been shunned by the Hells Angels. What began as rejection morphed into rage, and from that, a new brotherhood was forged. Over the decades, the Mongols spread across the western US, eventually planting flags nationwide and overseas. Their criminal reach was broad. Meth distribution, gun running, extortion, robbery, and motorcycle theft. But it wasn't just their actions that raised alarms. It was how they operated. The club ran like a paramilitary unit. Officers, bylaws, unflinching discipline. Break the rules, face the consequences, often violent. Members wore their loyalty in ink, their jackets displaying the infamous Mongols patch, a logo more sacred than scripture. Lose that patch, and you'd likely lose blood. Outwardly, they preached brotherhood. Inside, the club thrived on intimidation. The Mongols weren't just rebels on wheels, they were a criminal syndicate masked as a riding club, shielded by silence, loyalty, and fear. Until Operation Ivan blew the doors open, revealing racist hate crimes. Drugs and guns dominated the headlines, but Operation Ivan exposed something even darker. Beneath the gang's violent operations was a current of racist hate, ugly, deliberate, and organized. Audio tapes and witness testimony revealed multiple Mongols attacking black individuals unprovoked, especially in bars and clubs across Southern California. One brutal incident saw members beating two black men in a Hollywood venue while shouting racial slurs. These weren't one-offs. Patterns emerged. Certain chapters not only tolerated racism, they fostered it. Although the gang presented itself as diverse, Queen and others noticed a troubling hypocrisy between their image and internal culture. These revelations shifted the legal terrain. Prosecutors added hate crime enhancements to existing charges, broadening the case's impact. The Mongols weren't just dealing in drugs and violence, they were trafficking in hate too. Operation Black Rain, 2008. Ivan cracked the shell. Black Rain shattered the core. In 2008, law enforcement returned with a follow-up operation that dwarfed the first. This time, it wasn't just the ATF. The FBI joined in. 4 undercover agents infiltrated various Mongol chapters and lived there for almost 2 years. When it ended, 61 arrests followed. The charges: murder, trafficking, laundering, conspiracy, the full deck. But this time, the feds went after more than people. They went after the identity. Prosecutors attempted something unheard of, seizing the Mongols' patch. That trademarked emblem, a Mongol warrior riding a chopper, was now considered a criminal asset. If the government succeeded, it could legally strip jackets from members' backs, destroy merchandise, and cripple the club's visual identity. First Amendment advocates pushed back hard, but the message landed. The Mongols weren't just being prosecuted, they were being erased, seizing the patch. The Mongols' patch wasn't just a logo, it was armor, power, status, a challenge. During Black Rain, prosecutors launched a bold legal offensive. If the symbol represented organized crime, it could be seized. If the government won that argument, they'd have the right to stop members from wearing it at all. It wasn't just legal, it was psychological warfare. Strip a man of his colors, and you strip him of belonging. The case triggered fierce legal battles and constitutional debates, but it showed how far law enforcement was willing to go. Not just to jail gangsters, but to unravel their mythos. For the Mongols, the threat wasn't prison. It was invisibility. Murder of Hell's Angels. The streets weren't quiet for long. In September 2008, the biker world convulsed again. Christopher Stoney Ablett, a Mongol, killed Mark Papa Guardado, the San Francisco president of the Hells Angels. It happened fast in the Mission District. Witnesses saw Ablett stab Guardado multiple times, then fire a gun before vanishing into the night. The fallout was immediate. The Hells Angels swore retaliation. Law enforcement across the country braced for war. When Ablett was finally captured, he received life without parole. The killing reignited a decades-old feud, proving that beneath the patchwork of indictments and sting operations, raw violence still defined the culture. For the Mongols, it was a double-edged moment. Their reputation for brutality grew, but so did the target on their backs, the undercover toll. Going undercover isn't just about risk, it's about transformation. For William Queen, those 28 months inside the Mongols left permanent scars. He rode with them, ate with them, watched fights and funerals like he was one of them. The pressure was relentless. One wrong word could get him killed. He couldn't call home, couldn't be himself, couldn't slip, not even for a second. After the operation, he was pulled into witness protection. The trauma lingered: paranoia, isolation, guilt. Queen had helped take down a violent organization, but it came at a price few can understand. Behind the headlines and convictions, there was a man who gave up everything just to see justice done. Legal fallout and sentences. After the dust settled, the courts took over. The 2000 raids led to a wave of prosecutions. Dozens of Mongols faced federal charges: racketeering, drug trafficking, murder. Adrian Panhead Gutierrez was sentenced to 18 years to life for killing Daniel Herrera. Christopher Ablett received life without parole for murdering Guardado. Ruben Doc Cavazos, once the gang's national president, pleaded guilty to racketeering and got 14 years. Many others got similar terms. These sentences gutted the club's leadership and disrupted recruitment. But the Mongols didn't disappear, they adapted. Still, the legal wins mattered. They established that outlaw biker gangs weren't beyond reach anymore. They were no longer legends. They were criminals, and they were vulnerable. Informants and internal rupture. The Queen wasn't alone. Operation Ivan also counted on fractures within the Mongols. One such crack came from Jeremy MacDonald, a lower-level member who flipped after witnessing the Herrera murder. Fearing for his life, he agreed to testify. His accounts confirmed Queen's recordings and filled in key blanks. Informants like MacDonald were vital, not just for the courtroom, but for eroding the gang's internal trust. Accusations flew, suspicions grew. Members started pointing fingers, unsure who might betray them next. The Brotherhood cracked. For federal agents, it was the ultimate advantage. Flip one member, maybe two, and the whole structure starts to cave. That's how you beat the myth. From the inside out. The Mongols today. Despite years of raids, indictments, and federal heat, the Mongols Motorcycle Club is still very much alive. With more than 1,000 members scattered across the US, and others stationed in Europe, Asia, and Australia, the gang hasn't gone away. It's just gotten smarter. The days of brazen street wars may have cooled off, but law enforcement believes their criminal playbook hasn't changed all that much. Drug deals still move. Guns still trade hands. Extortion never really stopped. After the fallout from Operation Black Rain, the Mongols restructured from the inside. New rules were put in place. Tighter background checks, stricter loyalty tests, revamped communication protocols. They're careful now, harder to infiltrate. Still, they haven't gone dark. Members proudly wear the patch, attend public rides, throw charity events, and maintain visibility in the biker scene. It's a balancing act, staying under the radar without disappearing completely. Law enforcement watches, waits, and tracks. They know the Mongols have evolved, not vanished. If anything, they've become a sleeker, more cautious version of the old monster. The threat didn't die. It adapted. Parallels to other stings. Operation Ivan wasn't a one-off. It was part of a growing shift in how agencies hunt criminal organizations. Look at Operation Trojan Shield in 2021. Global agencies handed out encrypted phones to criminals, then read their messages in real time. Thousands of arrests followed. Or consider Operation Centaur, where embedded informants targeted the Bandidos MC in Texas. Different gangs, different tactics, but the same formula: patience, infiltration, and risk. What set Operation Ivan apart wasn't the tech. It was the human cost. William Queen didn't just plant bugs or run surveillance, he lived it. He rode next to killers, drank with them, and buried their dead. That level of immersion brought unmatched intelligence, but also left deep scars. Trojan Shield may have captured more data, but Ivan told a story. These kinds of operations mark a clear evolution in law enforcement. It's no longer just about showing up after a crime happens. It's about getting in early, staying quiet, and breaking the system from the inside. Public and legal precedent. Before Operation Ivan, biker gangs were often seen as loud but disorganized, more cultural nuisance than national threat. That view didn't survive the courtroom. The sting's success ushered in a new era of prosecution, anchored by RICO statutes that allowed entire clubs to be treated as criminal organizations. Suddenly, the patch wasn't just a symbol, it became evidence. So did meeting notes, photos, even club rituals. What Ivan introduced, later reinforced by Black Rain, was a new legal playbook. Prosecutors could now frame biker clubs not as scattered criminals, but as enterprises designed for crime. This paved the way for daring moves like trying to seize the Mongols' trademarked logo. Civil liberties groups pushed back, calling it government overreach. But the courts sided with the feds more often than not. In legal terms, Ivan didn't just set precedent, it redrew the map. The FBI's changed strategies. After Ivan, the feds took a long, hard look at their methods and changed them. Undercover work remained central, but agents were no longer thrown into the fire without a net. Psychological training became mandatory. Mental health support was built into operations. No more lone wolves. Behind every agent in the field stood a team. handlers, therapists, legal experts. Technology took on a bigger role too. Drones, wiretaps, and encrypted communication intercepts began to supplement human intel. In some cases, they replaced it entirely. Meanwhile, financial investigations became a favored tool. Follow the money, and you'd often find the nerve center of a gang. Civil asset forfeiture was used not just to hurt gangs economically, but to strip them of influence. Task forces also grew in size and scope. Federal agents started partnering with local police, international authorities, even IRS investigators. The message was clear. The old-school biker gang now looked more like a corporate network, and if they were going to act like a business, they'd be dismantled like one. Mongols' evolving tactics. The Mongols learned from every raid, every bust, every wiretap. They watched what happened to the Hells Angels. They saw their own ranks gutted, so they shifted. Recruitment slowed. Background checks tightened. Some chapters went quiet, others vanished entirely. Communication moved to encrypted apps, with members swapping out burner phones like socks. Club meetings became harder to track. Locations rotated, schedules changed. Members stopped posting openly. Publicly, the gang tried to soften its image. Toy drives, food drives, charity rides for fallen soldiers. A new face, carefully crafted. But beneath that surface, law enforcement still believes the old machinery grinds on. Drug routes, gun deals, extortion rings. Their leadership became more corporate in style, with layers of insulation protecting those at the top. Strategy replaced swagger. Stealth replaced spectacle. The patch still holds weight, but so does discretion. The Mongols today are leaner, smarter, more paranoid. Their survival wasn't luck, it was engineering. They've endured because they learned how to bend without breaking. The significance of operations even. Operation Ivan is not simply another successful sting, but it is a case that shifted the way America approaches organized outlaw biker gangs. It exposed the raw level of vice behind the leathered vest, clubhouses, and shiny chrome motorcycles. It demonstrated that weaponized brotherhood is a criminal syndicate. The operation was also something that showed the sheer personal cost that someone whose identity is undercover, like William Queen, went into a kind of fire to bring out the truth. Whether it is the RICO indictments or the seizure of the patches, Ivan had transformed the legal and cultural environment. It brought biker crime to the spotlight. The operation was studied by law enforcement agencies across the world so that stings can be modeled in the future. It demonstrated that however cohesive or threatening a group might be, it is possible to take them down through patience, planning, and courage. Finally, Operation Ivan did not only break a gang, but also established a precedent. It made a statement. Even greatest feared empires learn that even they can be taken down by their own hand. Operation Ivan is considered among the most dramatic law enforcement penetrations in the history of the criminal activities in the U.S. Undercovers endangered their very identity and lives to reveal violent cruelty, drug gangs, and hate in matters pertaining to the Mongols MC. What the resultant arrests, murders charged, and trademark hearings did was not simply to break a gang, it changed the way justice approaches biker clubs. Mongols were injured, yet not destroyed. Their spectra continue to trawl down highways all over the world. Nevertheless, the legacy of Ivan lives. It is more comfortable to destroy the inside than to struggle in the dark without understanding. And that is the bitter hurt, hacking the club on its very heels. Meet young Scott, a spirited boy from the serene suburbs of San Diego. His days are filled with laughter and joy as he fishes with friends, yet deep inside burns a daring desire to live wild and free as a biker. Unbeknownst to Scott, his dreams of rebellious freedom will plunge him into a shadowy world of turmoil and peril. Engulfed in a brutal biker war, Scott soon discovers that the life of a rebel comes with a steep price, one that far exceeds his darkest imagination. In the vibrant city of San Diego, California, it's the year 1960, a time when winds of change are sweeping through the hearts and minds of young individuals. Among them is Scott, a teenager growing up in a prosperous neighborhood with a caring and supportive family. Yet, Despite his advantageous upbringing, Scott finds solace in rebellion, forming a clique of high school bullies who thrive on the thrill of mischief. Fast forward to 1974, and a fateful event leaves an indelible mark on Scott's life. While out fishing by a lake with a friend, their peaceful afternoon is interrupted by the roar of a motorbike. A man stops to smoke, embodying Scott's vision of the perfect biker, long-haired, muscular, and clad in the iconic vest of the Mongols MC. Captivated by this image, Scott realizes at that moment that he will one day become just like him. From that pivotal encounter, Scott embarks on a journey to transform himself into the bad boy of his dreams. Although he shows promise in both football and boxing, motorcycles ignite a burning passion within him. He devours biker magazines, dreaming of the day he can call a Harley his own. Life takes a turn when Scott's family moves to Hawaii. Despite the change in scenery, the call for rebellion remains strong within him. As he finishes high school, Scott faces a crucial decision: pursue a college education or follow a different path more aligned with his rebellious spirit. After much deliberation, he resolves to return to San Diego, the birthplace of his dreams of freedom and rebellion. With determination coursing through his veins, Scott heads back to the familiar streets where he once roamed as a troublemaker. Unbeknownst to him, the choices he will make in the coming years will shape his destiny in ways he could never have anticipated. San Diego, the city that witnessed his formative years, is now the backdrop for the next chapter of his life. A chapter filled with daring exploits, unforeseen dangers, and the pursuit of unbridled freedom. Intent on capturing the biker lifestyle, Scott immerses himself in the culture he idolizes. Fueled by ambition and a restless spirit, he navigates the underground world of motorcycle clubs. As he adopts this new persona, Scott's life becomes a whirlwind of high-speed chases and explosive confrontations, leading him down darker roads than he ever imagined. Yet, amidst the chaos, Scott discovers that the life of a rebel comes with a price. When loyalties are tested and boundaries are pushed, he must confront the harsh realities of his choices. Passionate dreams give way to tumultuous experiences that carve out his identity in turbulent times. In living wild and free, Scott learns the greatest lesson of all: the path you choose defines the man you become, and sometimes the cost is higher than one could ever imagine. As Scott returns to the streets of San Diego, he is consumed by a burning desire to fulfill his long-held dream of owning a motorbike. Determined to make his aspirations a reality, he seeks employment on a construction site and toils tirelessly, saving every penny he can muster. However, despite his relentless efforts, the realization of his dream seems frustratingly distant. Fate, however, has a different plan. A colleague, aware of Scott's relentless pursuit, whispers an unconventional suggestion in his ear: a means to swiftly accumulate funds. The proposal is straightforward: engage in the illicit trade of selling marijuana, a venture reputed for its quick cash returns. Intrigued by the prospect, Scott seizes the opportunity, and with his newfound income stream, his dreams materialize with unexpected speed. Soon enough, he becomes the proud owner of a gleaming Harley Davidson Super Glide, purchased for $3,400. Eager to embrace the lifestyle he has long admired, Scott embarks on exhilarating rides, initially accompanied by childhood friends. As he delves deeper into the world of motorcycles, his circle expands, and he forges connections within the vibrant biker scene. One individual in particular catches Scott's attention: a full-patch member of the Mongols Motorcycle Club. Bound by their shared love for the open road, Scott and his newfound friend begin exploring the local terrain, experiencing the freedom that comes with life on two wheels. The mere presence of a Mongol rider at his side grants Scott access to a world previously beyond his reach. At just 18 years old, he can effortlessly gain entry to any bar, his motorcycle serving as a symbol of belonging and respect. However, Scott soon realizes that his newfound affiliation carries its own set of risks. The infamous battle for the highlands of California has already ignited, pitting the Mongols against their arch rivals, the Hells Angels. Undeterred by the mounting tensions, Scott immerses himself further into the Mongols' world, embracing their lifestyle with unwavering enthusiasm. The veterans of the club, pleased with his dedication, nickname him Junior. Over time, he becomes so ingrained in the club's activities that he is unofficially regarded as an honorary member, living the existence he had yearned for since that encounter by the lake. Junior's dedication knows no bounds, and as time passes, he resolves to take his commitment to the next level. Having proven his loyalty time and again, he feels compelled to seek full membership in the Mongols Motorcycle Club. However, a formidable obstacle stands in his path: age. The minimum age requirement for becoming a Mongol is 21, yet Junior is merely 20 years old. Nevertheless, due to his unwavering devotion and exceptional dedication, the Mongols make an exception, welcoming him into their ranks. Before granting him the coveted full patch, Junior is summoned for a crucial conversation with the club leaders. They candidly lay bare the inherent dangers and risks that accompany the biker lifestyle, warning him of potential consequences: being laid to rest 6 feet under or imprisoned behind steel bars. Fully aware of the perils that await him, Junior makes a resolute decision. Undeterred by the risks, he willingly embraces the Brotherhood, committing himself wholeheartedly to the Mongols Motorcycle Club. Embracing the Brotherhood with unyielding commitment, Junior becomes the youngest full-badge member in Mongols Motorcycle Club history. His rebellious nature spirals deeper into radicalism. With each passing day, his behavior becomes increasingly extreme, compelling him to carry a firearm at all times. Enveloped in a cloud of unwavering conviction, Junior and his club brothers foster an unshakable belief in their invincibility, convinced they are beyond the reach of any adversary. However, the harsh realities of life often shatter such illusions, leaving behind a trail of shattered dreams. For the Mongols, their most formidable adversaries are the Hell's Angels, renowned for their power and influence. Tragically, Junior experiences the brutal consequences of this rivalry firsthand, losing several club brothers in a bloody encounter with their Hell's Angels counterparts. The anguish that swells within him is unbearable. Fate has another curveball for Junior. One night, an altercation in a bar takes a fatal turn, resulting in the grievous injury of a Hell's Angels member. Shockingly, Junior finds himself at the center of this calamity, held accountable for the tragedy. As the police launch an intensive investigation, their relentless pursuit of justice places suffocating pressure on the Mongols. The heat grows unbearable, and Junior knows he has to act swiftly. With the walls closing in around him, Junior makes the difficult decision to disappear from San Diego, seeking refuge in Oklahoma with fellow Mongol members who share his MC chapter. Adopting a new identity, Junior skillfully evades detection, relying on the solidarity and supports of his club brothers to remain hidden from the prying eyes of law enforcement. The cat-and-mouse game plays out in his favor for 6 months, granting him temporary respite from relentless pursuit. Unfortunately, fate has a way of catching up with those who try to escape it. News reaches Junior that 3 of his loyal brothers have been apprehended and arrested in connection with the ill-fated bar incident. The weight of responsibility settles heavily on his shoulders, and he makes the life-altering decision to return to San Diego and surrender himself to the authorities. Understanding that he bears the primary burden of guilt, Junior prepares to face the dire consequences of his actions head-on. Junior's club brothers, united by an unbreakable bond, make an extraordinary sacrifice. They accept a plea deal that would spare Junior from a lifetime behind prison bars, willingly embracing their fate to secure his chance for redemption. As a result, each of them receives prison sentences ranging from 4 to 8 years, a testament to the unwavering loyalty that defines their brotherhood. Paroled in 1986 at the age of 26, Junior is released from prison. Yet, the terms of his parole proved to be a daunting challenge, forbidding him from any contact with Mongol members. The probationary period, spanning just a year, offers Junior a chance to break free from the madness that consumed his life. Surprisingly, Junior appears poised to seize this opportunity for a fresh start. He secures a legitimate job and distances himself from the MC world. However, on the very day his parole expires, he finds himself back on the open road, riding shoulder to shoulder with his Mongol brothers. Such is his unwavering loyalty that he swiftly ascends to the rank of vice president within the club. Exactly 1 year later, Junior assumes the prestigious role of national president, a position that seems tailor-made for his leadership qualities. Junior's tenure as national president is transformative. As a charismatic and fearless leader, he steers the Mongols with unwavering determination, never flinching in the face of adversity. Even during biker gatherings, where tensions with the Hells Angels reach a boiling point, Junior stands undaunted at the forefront as violence erupts. In 1998, Junior's life takes an unexpected detour. Enjoying an evening at a bar with a fellow biker, he is suddenly attacked by an assailant. Armed with steadfast resolve and the support of his companion, Junior swiftly subdues the aggressor, even in the face of a knife-wielding threat. Choosing to leave the incident behind him, Junior simply rides home, unaware of the storm about to unleash upon his life. Unbeknownst to Junior, his assailant is far from finished. Fueled by vengeance, the attacker reports the encounter to the police, accusing Junior and his fellow biker of assault. The wheels of justice turn swiftly, and Junior finds himself promptly arrested, his world upturned once more. As Junior confronts the police, he staunchly maintains that his actions were in self-defense. Yet, the authorities remain unconvinced, casting doubt on his account of the events. The courtroom proves to be an even harsher battleground, as Junior faces a guilty verdict and an astonishing sentence of 14 years behind bars. However, the story is far from over. Junior's tenacious lawyer embarks on a relentless quest to uncover evidence that will shed light on his innocence. Through diligent investigation, the lawyer amasses enough compelling clues to warrant a retrial. This time, the scales of justice tilt in Junior's favor, resulting in his acquittal. The court, recognizing the grave miscarriage of justice that occurred, awards Junior a substantial sum of $3.2 million as restitution for the years he spent falsely imprisoned. Yet, despite this triumph, Junior remains under probation, once again subjected to the stringent condition of severing all ties with his Mongol brothers. But fate seems determined to test Junior's resolve. A photograph emerges, capturing him in the act of sharing a beer with a fellow club member, an act that directly violates the terms of his probation. The court swiftly revokes the $3.2 million and orders his return to prison. Confined once more, Junior finds himself in a contemplative state. Using his time behind bars productively, he embarks on a new endeavor, writing a book. One book leads to another as Junior recounts his tumultuous experiences and seeks solace through the power of storytelling. In 2004, the prison gates swung open, marking Junior's long-awaited release. Determined to leave his troubled past behind, Junior seeks solace and stability in Utah, where he forges a new path and finds love, marrying his wife. However, in 2009, his connection to the Mongols resurfaced as he established a chapter of the club in Utah, a testament to his enduring commitment to the brotherhood that has shaped his life. Junior's journey is fraught with hardship, marked by the depths of incarceration and the struggle for vindication. Yet, through it all, he persists in finding solace in the written word and a renewed purpose in life. The chapters of his story have taken him to the darkest corners of human experience. But as he embraces his newfound freedom, he embarks on a new chapter, one that holds the promise of redemption and the hope of a brighter future.
Even among the notorious members of the biker gang known as the Mongols, there is a name that strikes fear into their hearts. Referred to as Scott Jr., this certain member is not someone you would want to mess with. But what exactly earned him such respect and fear has a deep and mysterious history. Join us in today's video as we explore the real reasons behind this biker who even the Hells Angels fear. The Mongols Motorcycle Gang, once a mainstream club formed in Montebello, California in 1969, swiftly transformed into one of America's most notorious motorcycle communities within a mere 15 years. Renowned for their penchant for violence, the Mongols are infamous for committing acts of assault, intimidation, and even murder to protect their turf and uphold their club's reputation. Their criminal activities extended to racially motivated violence, targeting not only African American gang members but also innocent civilians of color. Such nefarious deeds earned the Mongols the dubious distinction of being labeled by the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms as the most violent and dangerous OMG in America. Now, did you know that the majority of Mongols members are Hispanic males residing in the Los Angeles region, many of whom boast a background in street gangs and a proclivity for resolving conflicts through violence? Among these infamous figures is Scott Jr. Erickson, a prominent member of the gang. Scott Jr. Erickson became a member of the Mongols Motorcycle Club in 1980. He witnessed the club's evolution from a small group in California to a global phenomenon, serving as national club president 4 times, a pivotal factor in the club's current international renown. Junior dedicated his life to the Mongols, emphasizing their identity as more than just a motorcycle club. They were a brotherhood that he risked his life for over 3 decades. Now let's move on to his origins. Born Scott Erickson in 1960 in San Diego, California, he grew up in a loving environment in one of the city's nicer neighborhoods. Despite his privileged upbringing, Junior still found himself entangled in the typical teenage misadventures like smoking weed and engaging in fights with his friends around San Diego. It was in 1974, during a fishing trip to a lake, that he encountered a ferocious-looking biker adorned with Mongols Motorcycle Club insignia, leaving a lasting impression on the 14-year-old Junior. By age 16, Junior had gained a reputation as a tough individual, playing football aggressively and frequently getting into fights. His family's temporary move to Hawaii during his final years of high school did little to quench his wanderlust for distant lands like Hawaii, Paris, Jamaica, and even Africa. While continuing his athletic pursuits, Junior and his friends established a boxing club, leading to his participation in amateur competitions where he remained undefeated. However, there was something he couldn't forget about easily. The image of the biker at the lake remained etched in his mind, fueling his fascination with motorcycles. After high school, Junior returned to San Diego, working on a construction site to save up for a motorcycle. When his savings fell short, he resorted to selling weed, eventually acquiring a Harley Davidson Superglide in 1978 at the age of 18. With his new bike, Junior rode around town, immersing himself in biker culture and learning about the ongoing turf war between the Hells Angels and the Mongols over California's territories, a conflict with deadly consequences. At just 19, Junior found himself barred from most places due to his age. However, a chance encounter with a Mongol changed everything. Assured by the Mongol that riding with the club granted access anywhere, Junior began joining their weekend escapades, eventually earning an invite to their San Diego clubhouse. Though not yet a full member, Junior felt a deep sense of brotherhood among the Mongols, reveling in their wild parties and nomadic lifestyle. Yet beneath the surface of revelry lay a darker truth. The outlaw biker life was rife with danger and enemies. Riding with the Mongols meant adopting their adversaries as one's own. Armed to the teeth, the Mongols faced constant threats, but Junior relied on his strength, boasting an amazing physique honed through gym visits. Despite his young age, Junior threw himself into the club's activities, from bar brawls to debt collection, earning the respect of his peers. Recognized as a loyal brother, Junior became the youngest prospect in the club's history, eventually earning his patch through unwavering dedication. But with membership came a deadly reality check. Junior witnessed the deaths of 3 fellow Mongols within his first year, and soon found himself embroiled in a fatal altercation with a rival gang, resulting in casualties and a media frenzy, labeling the Mongols as perpetrators. Fleeing from the fallout, Junior sought refuge with his Mongol brothers in Tulsa, adopting a new identity to evade authorities. However, news of his brother's arrests thrust him into another round of evasion, forcing him to conceal himself in Oklahoma for 6 tense months. Upon learning of the arrest warrant for his involvement in a murder case, Junior decided to face his fate and return to San Diego. The club rallied behind him, providing legal representation that secured a plea deal for voluntary manslaughter, sparing him a life sentence. Despite being the one who pulled the trigger, Junior refused to let his brothers take the fall, willingly surrendering himself to authorities. After serving his sentence, Junior stayed in touch with his Mongol brothers, staying at the forefront of all club matters. Upon his release from parole, he swiftly ascended the ranks within the club, eventually becoming the vice president of the San Diego chapter and later the national president at a remarkably young age. However, his tenure was marked by a violent clash that thrust the Mongols into the spotlight, solidifying Junior's reputation as a fierce protector of his club. Despite his dedication to the Mongols, Junior's personal life suffered, with attempts to leave the club for a quieter life proving futile. By age 35, he had served as national president multiple times, ensuring the club adhered to its principles. Yet in 1998, a bar altercation led to Junior's arrest, sparking a legal battle where his claims of self-defense fell on deaf ears, as authorities relished in apprehending the notorious Mongols president. Did you know that the Mongols biker gang, along with holding a notorious reputation as one of America's most perilous gangs, is also involved in hundreds of criminal activities? At one point, authorities attempted to prohibit Mongols from wearing their jackets or any apparel featuring the gang's emblem. However, a California judge later overturned this decision, citing violations of constitutional rights such as freedom of association. Moreover, members of the Mongols have devised their own secret language for covert communication. For instance, they use terms like Code 55 to signal the need to conceal their gang affiliation by refraining from displaying any Mongols-related insignia or attire. This covert communication strategy enables them to operate discreetly and avoid detection by law enforcement. Mongols members boast a notorious track record in illicit activities such as drug trafficking, money laundering, theft, extortion, murder, and assault. These criminal exploits have solidified their reputation as one of the most dreaded biker clubs in the US. And guess what? At one point, they faced a staggering 270 warrants simultaneously and were initially prohibited from displaying their trademark emblem. Although this ban was eventually lifted, the club was slapped with a mere $500,000 fine, which seemed like a minor consequence for these self-professed outlaws. In 2002, tensions between Mongols and Hells Angels erupted at Harrah's Laughlin Casino in Nevada, resulting in the deaths of 3 bikers. 2 Hells Angels members received 2-year prison sentences in 2007 for their involvement in the incident. The year 2008 marked a significant blow to the club when it was infiltrated by 4 ATF agents in Operation Black Rain. This operation led to the arrest of 38 Mongols, including their then-national president, Ruben Cavazos, who was subsequently ousted from the club. Additionally, Christopher Ablett surrendered to authorities in 2008 after evading capture for the murder of Hells Angels president Mark Papa Guardado in San Francisco. In the same year, a clash between Mongols and Hells Angels in Las Vegas left 3 Mongols hospitalized, highlighting the ongoing tensions between the rival gangs. In a separate incident in 2014, Mongols member David Martinez allegedly killed a Pomona police SWAT team member in San Gabriel, California. Martinez faces capital murder charges, with the prosecution linking him to a Mongols chapter in Montebello, California. The history of the Mongols shows us what a prominent presence they have in the underworld, but it also sheds light on the contentious relationship between law enforcement and biker gangs. Innocent individuals have often been ensnared in legal battles, serving lengthy sentences for crimes they did not commit. Despite facing such adversity, individuals like Scott Jr. Erickson have remained extremely loyal to their club, symbolizing the deep-rooted camaraderie within the Mongols nation.